Richard Milhouse Nixon was the 37th President of the United States, serving from 1969 to 1974, when he became the first president in this nation's history to resign from office. His resignation can be almost directly tied to the 1974 Supreme Court case U.S. v. Nixon. In June of 1972, 5 burglars were apprehended in a break-in at the Watergate Hotel, home to the Democrat National Committee offices. These men were in the process of setting up recording devices in the offices of high-ranking officials and collecting information on various personnel and candidates. The burglary was later connected to Nixon's re-election committee, though there was never evidence that he directly ordered this or had prior knowledge. It was what he did in the wake of this crime that sealed his fate. Since 1971, the Nixon administration had taken the strange and relatively new step to record all presidential meetings. The recording was used sparingly by a few of his recent predecessors. Nixon took the practice to an entire new level, recording almost every interaction except those that occurred in his residences. These tapes held information concerning how Nixon was personally involved with covering up the connections between the break-in and a bevy of other illegal activities, using means such as bribery and intimidation. So it was understandable that he did not want to hand these tapes over to the Special Investigation Committee convened by the Senate and an independent special prosecutor. Nixon claimed executive privilege with these documents, reporting that it was in the interest of national security. This is where the Supreme Court stepped in to finally tackle the issue of executive privilege. Though it has been utilized by most presidents throughout U.S. history, executive privilege is not explicitly defined in the Constitution. Most presidents see this as an implied power, a necessity to operate efficiently and as an equal branch of government by allowing them to withhold certain sensitive information from Congress and the public. U.S. v. Nixon finally faced this issue head-on. The Supreme Court unanimously ruled that executive privilege was a valid presidential power, but not an absolute one. In the case of Nixon, it was clear that he was attempting to protect himself rather than national security, an action that the court fell outside of executive privilege. This is a landmark case in that it established the precedent of the validity of executive privilege, while simultaneously opening up future litigation for abuses of power by future presidents. This ruling was especially prevalent in investigations of misconduct during the Clinton administration, which also led to limits on executive privilege in the face of personal detriment on the part of the president. It also has been interpreted to both sustain and strike down several of Bush 43's moves to expand executive privilege. In conclusion, I will leave you with the following quote from President Nixon. "When the president does it, that means that it is not illegal."